Captain John Gaffney, 56 years old, assigned to the 1908 Medical Company, Independence, Missouri, a psychiatric nurse who worked for San Diego County for more than 20 years. He helped elderly victims of abuse and neglect. Prior to serving in the 1908, he served in the Navy and later in the California National Guard. He had arrived at Fort Hood the day before the shooting to prepare for a deployment to Iraq. He leaves behind a wife and son. Sergeant Amy Kruger, 29 years old, assigned to the 467th Medical Detachment, Madison, Wisconsin. Sergeant Kruger played for her high school basketball and softball teams and graduated in 1998. She joined the Army after the 2001 terrorist attack. She had vowed to take on Osama bin Laden. I know she was proud to serve and proud to share her experience. Sergeant Kruger arrived at Fort Hood 2 days prior to the shooting, scheduled to deploy to Afghanistan. Captain Russell Seeger, 51 years old, assigned to the 467th Medical Detachment, worked as a nurse practitioner in the primary care area at the VA Medical Center in Milwaukee. He worked to help veterans with mental health problems related to war experience. A local radio station did a profile on Captain Seeger earlier this year. He told the reporter, "I've always had a great deal of respect for the military and for its service, and I just felt it was time that I stepped up and did it," talking about his upcoming deployment. Captain Seeger had a PhD in alternative medicine and would have been deploying to Iraq to prevent mental health problems from developing in troops. He's survived by a wife and a son. Lieutenant Colonel Juanita Warman, 55 years old, assigned to the 1908 Medical Company. Lieutenant Colonel Warman spent most of her military career with the military as a physician's assistant. She was the daughter and granddaughter of Army veterans and a single mom who put herself through college and graduate school. Lieutenant Colonel Warman at one point worked at the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center. She wrote an article about using surgery to treat obesity in adolescents and also co-led a health fair discussion on women trauma and returning veterans. Lieutenant Colonel Warman is survived by her husband, 2 daughters, and 6 grandchildren. The book of Ecclesiastes reminds us that there is a time and a purpose for all things. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to move onward, a time for war and a time for peace. Right now, it's the time to remember. Time to give recognition and thanks for their lives and selfless service. Be a life long or short, its completeness is based on what it was lived for. Without question, these warrior citizens lived, and they lived their very end serving others. We now memorialize those soldiers' lives by our actions. We honor their memory by remaining devoted to the cause, maintaining our warrior spirit, living the Army values, ensuring we are prepared to answer the call to duty as we continue to change the Army Reserve to meet the challenges of this century. May we dedicate ourselves to doing the best job we can, living each day in honor of these courageous men and women. We owe each of them our best efforts in all that we do. We thank God that each of them strengthened our formations and graced our ranks. They are truly the American heroes of this generation. And let us be so dedicated to their memory. In a world of threats, their legacy will be marked in our safety of our cities and the security extended abroad. It will serve as testimony to the character of those who serve and as an example for all of the service members around the world. Our thoughts and prayers to continue to be with their family and loved ones. We know they have endured a terrible loss. I would ask all of you to keep them in your thoughts and prayers. The spirit that they lived was embodied by the members of their unit who, as we met with them at Fort Hood, said, we need to keep going. Do not hold us back. We've got a mission. That warrior ethos. They embody the spirit of these soldiers we honor today. That warrior ethos that they instilled in their comrades. For all of you in our armed forces, thank you for what you're doing, serving our country in a time of war. May God bless you all, and especially may God bless our fallen comrades and their families. Thank you.
We will now have selected readings, silent meditation, and a benediction by Chaplain Eric Jackson.
Thank you, General Stultz. We've come to this time and this place in the wake of a tragic event, but we come still the same to honor 5 of our fellow patriots, our friends, our brothers and sisters, who honorably served their units and our nation. We have gathered here this afternoon to pay tribute to 5 who served and who gave the ultimate sacrifice. Today, once again, we're reminded of how alarmingly short life is and how near death we all are. They're passing yet another reminder, another solemn reminder to us all of how fragile and fleeting life is. However, let us remember that while death is inevitable, life is more powerful. As we come to the close of our eternal lives, I believe there comes a time of life beyond the grave, a time where death itself will be defeated. As one poet said, death, you too shall die. A time in which we will appear before our Maker, longing to hear God's words of acceptance into his heavenly realm. See, death is no respecter of time as it relates to our time here on earth. Therefore, it behooves us to always be ready, particularly those of us who serve our great country. And those fallen heroes, their lives were shortened by tragedy. It does not lessen the quality of their lives nonetheless, nor does it lessen the value of their lives. On their respective headstones, there will appear a dash between their dates of birth and their dates of death. It's perhaps the smallest etching, yet it's the most significant in that it represents their lives. And so it is that it reminds me of a poem that so eloquently articulates what I'd like to convey today. It's entitled The Dash Between the Dates. It reads, Memorial Day was over now. All had left and I was alone. I began to read the names and dates, chiseled there on every stone. The dates which showed whether it was mom or dad, or daughter or son. The dates were different, but amount the same. There were 2 on every one. It was then I noticed something. It was but a simple line. It was the dash between the dates. Placed there, it stood for time. All at once it dawned upon me how important that little line. The dates placed there belong to God, but the line is yours and mine. It's God who gives this precious life and God who takes away. But that line between he gives to us to do with what we may. We know God's written the first date down to each and every one. And we know he'll write the last date down. And it'll be soon, we know, for some. But upon that line of my dates, I hope he'll write, well done. And surely the hand of God has written on the line between the dates of these fallen soldiers these words, well done, good and faithful servant, well done.